Morris Martin. I'm a Senior Market Research Manager with the Microsoft Advertising Institute. I'm here at the Interactive Advertising Bureau office, and I just completed delivering a seminar based on conversion attribution and the idea that the last ad or last click methodology is flawed, and we're looking at attribution models to make marketers more smarter, more intelligent, more effective, and more efficient in media optimization. In the digital world, we subscribe to a methodology where the last click or last impression gets 100% credit when we talk about sales, whether that be in the sense of a sales confirmation page or a registration newsletter or email coupon download, for example. If we can take it offline for a second, we can understand that in the offline world, this person might be exposed to a radio ad, a TV ad, a billboard ad, and someone jumps out in front of the Best Buy and offers a coupon for this person to buy a particular digital camera. And there's no way to link each of those particular interactions with this consumer. So in the marketing meeting, an offline advertiser would say, hey, let's just buy more people in front of the Best Buy. Well, that's exactly the type of analogy that's happening in the online world, where we have people, when we look at their rich digital histories, are seeing advertisements or being exposed to ads on newspapers or news sites, social media sites, weather sites, TV show websites, for example, rich media, expanding banners, video banners. They're clicking on unbranded search keywords, branded search keywords. They're doing comparison shopping across different merchants, and they later go ahead and buy that same camera. Well, in the online world, we have the ability, unlike the offline channels, to track every single one of those exposures. That expanding banner on CNN, that click on MSN news section, that unbranded click on digital camera, as well as that branded click on a candid digital keyword. However, in the online world, although we have access to all of this data, and our greatest strength is measurability, the methodology that we subscribe to only gives 100% credit to that very last click that occurs, ignoring all of that data that we actually have processed and have access to. And so really the seminar and the attribution methodology theme that we've seen from a number of vendors across the space has been moving away from that last click methodology, understanding that there's an actual purchase funnel in the digital world where people are being aware of the brand, they're considering the brand, and they eventually purchase and intend to buy and raise their hand and ask to go ahead and purchase from that particular advertiser. We're seeing a shift in mindset that says, hey, we need to give more credit to those publishers that are helping to increase that volume, increase that reach to my particular consumer. We recently did a study where we analyzed because we operate under the Atlas ad server, we're able to track all of the publishers that advertisers that are hosting their ads via Atlas are working with. And so what we found is that when we aggregated the data anonymously for our advertisers across the genre of publishers, we were able to categorize what publishers were and where they fit in that funnel. And what we found was that weather-oriented sites like a weather.com or social network sites like a Facebook, or even travel sites like aspirational travel sites, they were higher up in the funnel as far as reaching consumers who would later convert. And they have the most to gain by using a different attribution methodology, because right now they're receiving no credit whatsoever under the last click methodology. The question is really geared towards a particular example of using weather.com of why should an advertiser essentially advertise on that when its principal goal is not to essentially convert someone right away. And what we found is that a particular advertiser can be a telecommunications or wireless provider. Weather.com would be a perfect publisher for that type of advertiser because they have geocentric or geo data that they can help you optimize your media on. You can imagine that if there's a particular place in the United States where you're receiving bad press based on your coverage, you can talk to Weather.com and try to get your branding message out there that yes, you are a good brand, yes, your coverage is outstanding, and Weather.com would be the perfect vehicle for that because people are constantly checking the weather. They might not be a great vehicle for getting someone to convert right away, buy from your wireless provider, but they'd be a great website to get your advocacy, to increase brand advocacy, increase brand favorability, as opposed to being a sort of call to action type of website. Speaking from a display perspective, what we've seen is not only a race to shorten conversion windows, the amount of time that we're considering the information that we are capturing, but this understanding of, well, how can I, although the internet and digital media is trackable and measurable, how can I prove that someone commits based on an action or intent? And that usually happens in the form of a click. And what we've seen over the past few years is a large number of advertisers start to do studies which tries to understand the lift, where they have their display buys, they have their search buys, and they're seeing that most of the people are converting through search. And what ends up happening is that there's some tests that are done that removes their display campaign from this process, from this holistic media experience. And in the short term, we rarely see any effect. Their search volume and their conversion volume stays relatively the same. But in the longer term, 6, 7 months later, we start to see that drop off, mainly because you're no longer filling up the top of the funnel. You're only reaching those people that have already raised their hand and expressed interest in your particular advertiser. By doing display, by doing unbranded search, you're able to reach people that may not be aware of your brand well before they're ready to convert or ready to interact with your brand. And by removing that layer, you're not able to really see the effects of that until much longer term. How do media planners essentially judge their media, mainly based on a CPA? In the face of this economic recession that we've had, there's been a call to arms by marketers to essentially reduce budgets, cut where we can, make it more ROI proof-worthy. And what we've seen is that media planners now are forced to, instead of creating these rich media plans, creative briefs where they're advertising on large brand-oriented sites, rich media, video, pre-roll, whereas we were seeing marketers start to use these rich media plans. Now what we're starting to see is a cut back on that. Now they're cutting back on all of those seemingly expensive courses of action that they once were evangelizing. And the reason behind that is because when you subscribe to the last click methodology, video, pre-roll, rich media, brand-oriented sites tend to not look as good as sites who exist at the bottom of the funnel, mainly search engines, affiliate networks, remessaging programs. And because in this recession we're faced to cut costs where we can, if we're basing all of our activity and all of the conversions that we're getting off of an attribution methodology that just considers the last click, those upper funnel sites, social, news, travel, auto, for example, they're never going to get as much credit as they deserve, and usually are the first sites and placements that are cut from a particular campaign, because the way the CPA is calculated is based on the last click methodology. When we start to move towards an attribution methodology that includes fundamental marketing concepts, reasons why you put a site on your campaign to begin with, such as recency, their reach, their frequency, the type of creative that you're able to serve, the ad size, now you're starting to actually judge the media accordingly with the reasons why you put them on there to begin with. And when we start to shift that attitudinal thinking, where we start to say, hey, let's do an apples to apples comparison. I bought this particular placement because I knew it was high reach. I knew they would give a lot of frequency. It's a large ad. It's a rich media ad. Now I can judge it accordingly. Now that CPA doesn't look as high as it did before. Instead of $70, maybe it comes down to $50 because now it's getting a lot more credit for conversions than it did under the last click methodology. Engagement mapping is an attribution methodology delivered by the Atlas ad server on behalf of Microsoft. Now what we've seen over the past few years is this sort of, again, call to arms by marketers to say, hey, we need more data. We understand that the last click methodology isn't the end all be all. Give us all of our impressions, give us all of our clicks, give us all our actions. And so we've been doing that over the past couple years, but what we realize is what people are really asking and really want is an easy way to identify how my media is doing, how to optimize my media. And that's exactly what engagement mapping does. What we've done is essentially eliminated all of that mathematical work that has to go into figuring out how all these log files, tens of gigabytes of log files work together and having to analyze them. We actually do that on our back end. And at the end of the day, what a media planner needs and wants is not to have their workflow interrupted. They just want a single number that of course has been verified and proven out, but they want a single number that they can line up with their impressions, their clicks, their last click conversions. They want an attribution number, such as engagement mapping, that allows them to quickly and effectively make decisions. So what engagement mapping does is it essentially makes media planners and marketers smarter, more intelligent. It considers factors such as recency, frequency, reach, ad size, creative type, whether or not it was an impression or click that a person had in a digital history, and based on a standard set of weights, allows you to change exactly how you're attributing those conversions. So the total sum of conversions under the last click methodology and engagement mapping is exactly the same, but the way we attribute how those conversions are giving out to publishers changes based on those marketing concepts that we spoke about. What has changed in the past few years that has allowed us to continue to track as much data as we can? And I think that's a comfort level from an everyday individual. We've seen a ton of cookie initiatives by the IAB, for example, and MRC that says, cookies are not a bad thing. They actually aid you in, especially as it comes to advertising. You use a cookie every single day when you log into your Yahoo or Hotmail or Gmail accounts. This is just a different type of cookie. And what it does is allows advertisers to better put the right message in the right place to the right person at the right time, and it's only aiding you. So I think the biggest change is probably a behavioral change in people understanding that I can accept cookies and I can be tracked, although behavioral targeting is a common debate now. But overall, I think people have become more comfortable with the internet. We've seen people start to interact with a lot more sites than they did in the mid to late 90s, and people pushing more information out there as well. So the more information people are pushing, we're able to pull in addition. So I think the biggest change has been a psychological change within people's behavior on the internet, and in addition to technology. We have a great technology platform in the Atlas Media Console, which allows us to be able to track all the different things that people are doing on the internet anonymously without any PII data or privacy data. We're able to track that they did receive impressions, they did click, they did have a rich media expansion, they did click on pre-roll or post-roll, etc. So the combination of people's comfort level with the internet and cookie initiatives done such as the IAB, as well as a technology platform such as an Atlas ad server, allows the two to come together and collect data and be able to give the right message at the right time to our consumers. We have seen an increase in sort of technology partnerships. There's no shortage of technology platforms, APIs. We've moved away from sort of growing our own solutions and understanding that there are experts in different technology areas that we can partner with to better leverage their data as well as our data to have a combination to understand what consumers are doing and what would be useful to put in front of consumers. So yes, there's been an increase of technology partnerships as well.